Well, I went out the other day, not surprisingly, and I went up a mountain, and I decided to travel a bit differently and shoot with different cameras for a change. You know, I'm always shooting with various cameras, but I really do think I got the most out of what are tricky conditions. So please have a look at the video now for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then yeah, we'll have a little talk about what worked and what didn't. So I am out on what promises to be a very, very hot day in the mountains, and also a day I think with virtually no cloud. So with that in mind, we're going to have to get a bit creative again and find something that works. So the idea I think today is to, well, travel light for starters. Just a single camera, well, 2 cameras actually. I brought my little digital infrared Canon G15, and also the Olympus RC is getting an outing again, but this time with infrared film. Okay, so the first part of this day out involves a very strenuous climb up a big mountain, so probably won't speak to you for a bit, give you some nice music, and yeah, catch you later. Right then, top of the mountain, a little bit about the cameras. First one is the little G15 Canon infrared. I think I mentioned it on a recent trip. It's fully converted, so it just shoots infrared, that's all it'll do. And it's a beautiful little camera, 28:140 zoom equivalent, absolutely perfect for today. However, because I like shooting lots of film, I've also brought my little Olympus RC again. Now, I've got a roll of Rollei 400 infrared in there. But to shoot infrared, you need a filter, an infrared filter. Now, this filter, when I blue tack it into place, makes the shutter speeds very slow. Now, I will need to shoot wide open at f2.8 at a 30th of a second to stand any chance of getting an infrared effect. So it's a bit fingers crossed. I've never actually tried this before. But having said that, I can also shoot conventional black and white without the filter, because it's a very good black and white film, this Rollei infrared. And I snapped a few on the way up, so if you've seen a few pictures so far, they're without the infrared filter. As the sun gets up and it's only 7 o'clock in the morning, I hope to shoot infrared and get some good comparisons with the Canon G15. Well, that's my mountain walk done for the morning. Beautiful morning, very, very warm though, absolutely sweating. So let's get back to the ranch, have a look at how they compare, the digital and the film in close-up, and yeah, do a bit of a post-mortem. So I do hope you enjoyed that short video. It was a long trip, about 6 hours, and it was absolutely boiling, and I got very, very hot. But the cameras, again, didn't weigh me down. The little G15 infrared, absolutely superb. I would say that is probably my favourite infrared camera, even though it's only a small sensor, it's brilliant. But I think, again, the little Olympus RC came up trumps. It was just so nice to use. The lens is superb. I mean, if you have a look at some of the close-ups here of the one or two of the images I shot with it, especially at the start of the day without the infrared filter on, they're really, really sharp, and yeah, really pleased with those. Now, the other thing as well is the comparison between the two. Now, it is got to be mentioned here that I modified the output from the Canon G15 to make it more like a film type look. I added grain, I did the usual infrared, I moved the clarity down, I pushed the contrast up, and dodged and burned. And I got them very close, I think you might agree. Some of them, particularly one with the rock and the leading vegetation, very, very close. Not intentional, by the way, but it's just the look I like. But I was hampered by the Olympus RC's limited shutter speeds and depth of field. I was shooting wide open at f2.8, and it was a 30th of a second. That being said, the negatives at some point were quite dense, a bit too dense, I'd say. So I could have probably got away with a 60th of a second at f2.8 or a 30th of a second at f4, which opens up the possibility of using some other lenses like my 20mm Nikon f4. So yes, I have got another plan now to go out, and that is to try this little beauty again, but I'm going to push the film to ISO 1600, EI 1600, and see if I can still get an infrared effect while using more effective apertures, smaller apertures, to get more depth of field and faster shutter speeds. And of course, this is leading into, can I do that with medium format like my lovely Minolta autocord, and possibly the Bronica as well, handheld, who knows. So yes, thank you for coming along and watching me as I experiment with film and digital yet again. So yeah, I'll see you again soon.